The hotel gets its updates every now and then, but I feel like it's not on the same level as the mines. And now I know it's not supposed to be as difficult as the mines because, well, it's the first level, so you want to ease players into it, which is why we're making it not insanely hard, but rather reworking some of the mechanics of the hotel to make it less boring for the player to walk through. In this video, I want to share some of my ideas on how it could be possible to make the hotel more exciting and interactive while still keeping its horror factor. Just as a disclaimer, I am not a game developer, like at all, though I do understand how complex it would be to implement some of the things I suggest here, and I do not expect everyone to agree with me, as these are merely silly little ideas and they're not the be-all end-all, and they are not meant to be taken very literally. Now, the first thing I want to suggest are layered rooms, in which some rooms should have multiple levels to them, maybe up to 3 or 4 floors, similar to the rooms where you have to walk upstairs, but more complex with rooms on each floor, making it feel less predictable in a way. And if the door to the next room is all the way on the top floor, they could add a little elevator for those who don't feel like exploring or walking up the stairs, so it doesn't bloat the average time of a run too much. Though, I would say that a lot of people might find this a little extra, but I feel like it would be a nice addition to the game that can definitely make things a little bit more interesting, and maybe make it so that it actually feels like you're walking through a hotel with multiple floors, instead of just walking in a straight line to the end. Another thing I think we should see more of in the hotel are secret passages and hidden rooms. There should be more crawl spaces with vents or hidden doors leading to special loot or shortcuts. I know they used to have vent rooms that would lead to the next room, but if I recall correctly, they removed those due to entity pathing issues, so I think that adding side rooms that contain crawl spaces to loot adds to the reward of exploring a room rather than just going straight through it. And you could implement this crawl space into rooms that require keys, which would add to the randomness of the game. Though I guess it would make it more tedious if it's done incorrectly, I would have it be less of a crawl space and more just a little vent-shaped hole you could crawl through, which instantly leads to the next room with the key or loot in it. Now, this one is going to take a little while to fully explain, but essentially, there could be these random grandiose encounters. And this one would definitely require a lot of work to implement, but it could really change the pace of a run. Essentially, there would be possibly up to 3 different types of the 50th door on both floors. For instance, one run of the hotel might have the classic figure library room, while another one might have a larger room with more complex puzzle components attached to it. Similar to something like a Portal 2 test chamber, if y'all ever played that game. Though obviously, the puzzle can't be too confusing, and it should take the same amount of time it would for a normal Grandiose encounter, which if I just vibe it, it's probably like 5 to 10 minutes. And this variant of the Room 50 encounter could include things like larger shifting environments with multiple levels that have intermediate level riddles that need to be solved, and puzzles that involve clocks and books. And I know that this video is mainly for the hotel, but for the mines, we could maybe enhance the seek chase that goes into the nest by certain sections requiring you to like hop onto a moving minecart while dodging falling debris. Now, the other variant of door 150 in the mines would follow immediately after the minecart like it normally does, but instead of a nest, you'd fall into an elaborate maze-like mineshaft with different levels or layers. Once you fall into this mineshaft, the entrance to it would be caved in, and Seek would then go from chasing you to stalking and looking for you. Kind of similar to Figure, his AI would become somewhat more advanced, enabling him to block pathways by forcing cave-ins or using his ink-like abilities to like temporarily restrict movement. I think
Say that again?
I think it could be really cool. Players would then be able to like interact with levers and control minecarts, and some areas would be blocked off by rocks or boarded off areas that you have to use a minecart to break through, and there would be different rooms with loot inside of them as well. Another cool addition for this little mineshaft section I have is like some areas might have like unstable rock formations that can only be cleared with hidden dynamite, requiring players to explore side paths under time pressure.
Say that again?
Pressure. And some bridges or tunnels might collapse if the player stays too long or walks on weak planks, making movement unpredictable. Though because this is a maze, to make it less tedious, I would have guiding light intervene every so often so that it would show you the correct way in order to mitigate the amount of time it would take to get through the section. And at the end, players would reach an old mining elevator, but it needs power to operate, so they would quickly have to solve a puzzle similar to the hotel elevator fuse puzzle, while Seek is still actively looking for you. So the final moment would be like a desperate scramble to activate the lift before he closes in. Now, this variant of door 150 would allow for an anxiety-filled experience, and it would require awareness, intermediate levels of problem solving, and the need for exploration. Again, this isn't a replacement for the nest, this is a possible grandiose encounter that you could get in the run. Essentially, it's either or. Now, this might sound like crazy and bad, but with the way I have it, it shouldn't be too terrible. So because of how tedious this type of concept can get, it has to remain simple in order for it to be healthy for the game. In this case, El Goblino would turn into a more prominent character in the hotel, and when you beat the library and go to Jeff's shop, you'd be able to acquire a sort of this for that quest. Essentially things like, if you go here and find this and bring it to me, I'll give you this. And he would appear every so often during your run to check if you've completed the quest, and when you have, he'll simply give you the reward himself in person. You could also get more room-specific entities, and Doors pretty much has this already with things like Sally, but I'd want to see more of these room-specific encounters. We could start with more rooms having vents inside of them, whether it be on the lower parts of the walls or ceilings, and then have an entity that dwells in them. them and attacks you at random. Obviously, you'd have the sound cues for when it's about to jump out of a vent and when it goes back in, so you can hide in time. Or maybe you could have a monster that lurks under the bed, and if you stay near the bed for too long, it would come out and do damage. I don't really know though, because some of these ideas are kind of half-baked, so let me know if I should make like a separate video on like entity concepts or something like that. Another really interesting thing we could have is, instead of only going room to room, what if you could climb down to like a secret area, and that would again enforce the fact that you're traveling through a hotel with multiple floors. And it would be a rather unique way of progressing to the next bit. Every so often, you would have a room with an empty elevator shaft in which you would slide down a rope through the elevator shaft for a quick descent to the next room. And maybe sometimes you would even have to climb up the elevator shaft as well, but that might be a bit too slow. There are probably like lots more ways to improve the hotel, but those are just a few ways that I thought of doing it. And just as a reminder, again, like this is all for fun. Like y'all can fight me in the comments with how dumb I might sound, but yeah, there's only like 2 people working on the game, so I don't expect these type of things to be in the game anyway. But yeah, that's about it. Let me know what idea you mess with, or if you think some of them are like stupid. And yeah, I'll catch y'all whenever I decide to upload again. Also, I have a Discord server if y'all are into that. It's in the description. Every so often, a room would have an empty elevator shaft in which you'd have to slide down. Bro, slime down. Let's go, guys. Let's slime down this elevator shaft. Like, okay.